Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Trekyards. I'm Captain Foley.
And I am Final Collins, and joining us is the sentient AI.
I got two dogs. One's a pug named Precious. The other's a Chihuahua named Dot. And ironically, today we're here to talk about dots. Are they dot 23s? Yeah, dot 23s. The 23rd iteration. Because the first iteration, we all, of course, know from pre-TOS days. You know, they really helped out the Enterprise a lot during TOS. We saw them a lot. We actually became one was a main character in the movies. You know, one became sentient. That's how things roll in space.
I mean, you know, when they're flying into space dock when they fought Khan, and you see all the dots repairing the hull damage. That's the only reason Scotty could get the weapons online, is because the dots that were already 30 years old or 25 years old were fixing it. But Stuart, it's a double-edged conversation because you've got to start back in season 2. When Michael Burnham's mother, in the future, or should I say a future, because Star Trek runs an alternate version futures. There's no one future. There's just the current course, and then of the perspective of our audience member, as in you. Michael Burnham's mum in the future works out that the reason the control AI, the Section 31 computer becomes a threat in the galaxy is because at some unknown point in the future, but the far future, it finds this big orange glowing ball of goo and you know, it downloads into its database, and over time that information from 100,000 years of history of its travel throughout the galaxy, kind of like Vija in a sense, makes it go sentient, makes it go crazy, makes it go killer, kills everything in the universe. Good stuff. Except her, who's come from the past and sees it and says, "Nah, I don't want everyone ever to die." So she goes back and makes hundreds of alternate futures to try and stop control, but they all fail until one day she says, instead of doing everything I'm doing, I'm going to move and disrupt the course of the sphere data in the past so that the Discovery has to find it and has to be, well, it dies, the sphere data dies because of that change, but it's fine. It downloads itself into the Discovery's computer, and then throughout the course of season 2, it has slight bit of presence. At the end, it stops itself from being destroyed by self-destruct and turns on shields to stop itself from being blown up by torpedoes, so it has a sense of self-preservation. And in the short trek for Season 2, we see that in the far, far future of unknown point, with the classic non-refit Discovery, the sphere data has become fully sentient, fully AI, now a woman, now flirting with a guy, lets him go because she loves him, Calypso. And then in Season 3, we get sort of the same thing as Season 2, but now it has the Zara voice, despite not being this future version of it. It now already has that voice 1,000 years earlier, and as Michelle, the showrunner, says, nope, Calypso isn't season 2, ignore it, it's far, far future from us, don't worry about it, therefore not directly linked. So I'll go up to that point. So that's the backstory. Now tell us what happens to this part of the conversation.
Well, I mean, in season 3, Zora makes a little bit of an appearance and helps the crew by giving them a movie night, which is very nice of it. And then, you know, it needs to save itself because the Orions, they put in their own operating system on Discovery, so it moves everything into dot droids, dot 23s. So at the end of the episode 12 of season 3, we get the reveal that the dot droids have the sphere data inside them, at least one for sure. We assume multiple because it's a lot of data, you'd think. Even though earlier in the episode they were talking about a piece of, you know, media, which is an old Buster Keaton movie, which they couldn't delete, so they just turned it off.
And also at the end of the episode, the dots like talk to each other visibly as if there's more than one version of the way it kind of plays. And just to reiterate, guys, in season 2 of Discovery, they start copying and transferring the data from the Discovery to the Red Angel suit that Michael Burnham's mum comes on, which then Leland in Section 91 tries to grab. And then later in the season, they say the data can't be moved, even though they move it in the season. That was their first plan, which is the only reason Discovery has to be in the future, because otherwise they could just have moved the data to another ship or a data crystal or another time suit. And so then how is the data then moved to the dots if it both can and can't be moved explicitly in dialogue? Discovery season 2, guys. But do we really think that this massive amount of data, which, you know, took a lot of space on Discovery computer, could live in the dots? And more than one dot? One dot? What do you think? And would Zara think it was safe to move all of her data and personality into one robot that could be destroyed?
We never got answers, unfortunately, and I don't think we will. I hope that plays a bigger part in season 4. But yeah, a lot of the dot droids, which were going to help retake the ship, were target practice and got destroyed very easily by the bad peoples. Because you know why? Because you can't have anybody else dying. So, assuming that the spirit data was spread over multiple dot 23s, some of it's probably destroyed by now. Which, I mean, I want Calypso to tie in so well because it's such a great premise, leaving Discovery in a nebula for 1,000 years. So as I always say, so the AI can marinate and become sentient. So if it loses a lot of its data, could it be that it needs to do that at some point? Like, who knows? Like, we see a lot of dot droids get destroyed during the course of this. One, of course, saves Oashikam, and then is brought back online at the end by Jet and Adira. So that's cool. That's probably going to be a character or a thing that happens in season 4.
Although Michelle was clear to say there isn't Zora yet, it's just the sphere data. Which made that distinction that it isn't that yet. They don't ever call it that, and they wouldn't call it that for this season. Even though that's the problem using the same voice. They should have used the computer voice probably. That would have been safer. Because they bring back the computer voice actress to deliver the reboot complete. Should have been that voice really if they were going to be consistent. But what's weird about the dot stuff is that they explicitly show us at the end of episode 12 that they're going to make an impact. And they make no impact except to save Roshcom, which they also say in the episode would kill it. To wit, it's shown to us there's multiple dots, therefore why would we care about one specifically? Because they needed a situation where like they all had, because we've had this situation in other, well, like the very simple, the Kalons in Orville, they go red when they go bad, easy. So they had to have the dots with no color, like no ring of light, just like a patch to show which division they are, which again, why, okay. And then only Zora has the light, or it like flashes or something, to show, oh no, the contrast is in this one. Because otherwise you assume, of course, it's in multiple dots, because the data couldn't be whatever. And so one dot being destroyed means nothing, and as long as the data core is fine, you just move it anyway. So it's showing us something one way, presenting it in a different way, mentally, and then none of it even connects to what actually would make sense.
And we know Discovery's pretty good for putting clues or hints in their opening title sequence, which we did talk about these dots specifically when they first saw the opening for this, because it's a big part of the opening. So there's going to be important at some point, and then we see this episode, it's like, yes, Zora gets transferred to them. That makes perfect sense. But then it kind of goes nowhere in the next episode.
It GNDN.
Yes, exactly. I don't know. I have an issue with the dots just in general, just because they never existed, but yet they did pre-TOS.
Especially because they're dots 23, that means Voyager had dots like 6.
Yes. Yeah, the dot 6s. Don't you remember those?
That's the problem with the stupid retcon. It's a stupid retcon. Like, it would have been fine if they were new for this era. That'd be kind of fun. Like, okay, robots, sure. Although, since you have holograms and sentient AI, etc., to have them be because they're not presented as any sort of sentience, they're just robots. Therefore, there's no emotion when they get destroyed. They are purely machines. They're work bees that are not work bees. And then why would you put simple repair work bees with the memory capacity to put 100,000 years of data in, plus the growth factor of it being sentient AI maybe yet? That's why multiple dots. That said, we know that the Red Angel suit has unlimited data storage, 930 years earlier tech, no, 950 at that point. But that was a secret. You know, the spore drive was never brought back, therefore was hidden. So I'm sure the Red Angel suit was as well. But they have contradictions in contradiction. Same thing with Voyager. Why don't they have an unlimited data core then if they already had that tech? You know, makes the whole thing seem stupider when that tech existed in our side a long time ago, pre-Cage. You know, remember Stuart? They were using Cage phaser lasers with a little and unlimited data storage. Wow. Very different. And time travel.
Yeah.
Basically, they're a big letdown that really felt like they either had written something else, filmed something else, couldn't do CGI in time, didn't know what to do, it was a reshoot. Something there doesn't connect, because you can't really tell me there was this big, epic Sphere AI data plot line as they wrote it. Otherwise, then they've let themselves down there. And they've done a good season, but that did not work. Or at least they shouldn't have had the AI helping them at the start. Don't set up it's sentient right at the start to then do nothing. Have the first time we see it be the dots. That would have been a nice payoff, because then you can argue that maybe and have the dots say stuff. Like to Vance, it's like, you know, repair complete, Admiral Vance, and then you can say, oh, they've got like technology inside them to be, vocal, and therefore putting Zora in it utilizes their components to talk, like how often aliens use data to communicate because they understand through its logical, through its circuitry. That would have been more interesting.
Even before that, like, just don't have the movie night thing. Just have getting the dots to have to repair something, so they send them, and all of a sudden the dots aren't responding, sir. They're actually heading to this area. What? To find out that the computer or the ship actually sent them to an area that needed work more than they realized. Just as a little bit of a what's going on? The dots are disobeying us. No, the computer actually redirected them, sir. Just so we can know that the Zora is there in the background, like working on things and being in communication with the dots. Just something subtle like that before the movie night thing. Yeah, like, let's build up to that, because the movie night, it's like, oh, I'm fully sentient now. I need to take care of you guys. Here's a movie. It's like, okay, thank you. It just didn't quite work. So let us know what you think about the Dot 23 situation. Was it successful with the whole artificial intelligence sphere data incorporation? What did you think about that? Where do you think it's going to go? Put it in the comments down below. As always, like the video, subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to click the notification bell icon, and join us for our lives where we have discussions like this all the time, and we can interact with you guys in real time.
And of course, if you want to, you don't have to. It's all because we love you, you love us, etc. But if you can, please do a one-time PayPal, Patreon, a one-time PayPal. Super Chat is a great way of kind of having a little bit of voice heard, because you can put a note in the PayPal as well, or a regular thing monthly, which we really, really appreciate. We love those guys. Like Patreon or the joining channel option, or look at the merch down below in the description. Those are also kind of cool things, and any and all we appreciate, and we thank you in advance.
Until next time, I am Captain Foley.
And I am Connor Kongs. We'll see you next time.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.